Hey everyone, welcome back to the second part of my Whoop strap video. If you watched my first video, you saw it's about 3 weeks ago now, I did an unboxing. So I've had 3 weeks, and probably by the time I upload this, probably 4 weeks of using this strap. And I just want to give you my thoughts and feelings about how it's gone so far. Obviously comparisons to my Oura ring. So you've probably known that I've used an Oura ring for over a year now. So starting off, first of all, this is what the strap looks like. I've obviously got the black strap on at the moment. I also had a green strap as well, but I've actually just stuck with the black strap for the time being. This is really great how it fits your arm because it's nice and form-fitting, apart from my cuts there. It's very, very thin. You can see that it doesn't take up any much room, and you actually forget that you've got it on. So you can obviously use equipment, pull-up bars, weights, whatever you want to use, and this doesn't get in the way. Also, you find that the band is nice and flexible, and you'll see that I've got it on my wrist, kind of further down, just below my kind of, that bone there. It has to be kind of centered down. And the reason behind that is they recommend keeping it in that position because it gets better reading. What's also good about this is it's nice and easy to take off. So you just literally, there's a little kind of bracelet bit there, you grab, you can pull off, and obviously the whole thing comes off. And when you pull it off, you can see obviously the reader there underneath does all the readings, and that's supposed to take 5 different measurements 100 times per second. It does all the different stuff, so it's supposed to be fairly accurate, and I think it is from what I've used so far after a while. And I like the fact it's just nice and simple. There's no complexities to it. It just fits your wrist really well, and yeah, it just does the job. And what's great as well is that the charging pack that you get with it, which is this little battery pack here, it's got 3 LEDs on it. You plug it in, it goes red, so it's just a USB socket, and then when it's fully charged it goes green. And then what's great is this little Whoop logo on here, which you can see, that's in line with this here. So what you do is effectively you slide this on from the top, and that's it. And then what you'll find is it lights up, and that's now charging my strap. So it's brilliant that you don't have to take your strap off. It's constantly charging. You can constantly wear it. So even if you're training or you think, oh, I haven't charged it, I'm going to do some exercise, well, you can just wear it. And obviously in that case, slightly bulkier, but at least it means you don't have to take off your strap and you don't lose data. And I think that's brilliant. It's a really, really nice touch to how this works. Now if I just take this off, the only thing that you can do with this strap is that if you double tap it twice, you'll see that on that side there's some LEDs, and that just shows you the charge that it's currently got. Again, nice and simple, just double tap and it gives you that information. And I like the fact that it hasn't got a display on it, it hasn't got anything on it. There's nothing you can break. If you smack this against the wall, or if you're training and you drop something on it, you're not going to break anything. The only thing I have found is that I do have to change my wrist. So normally I actually prefer to wear this on my left hand side, but I actually find after about 24 hours of wearing it, I tend to get a little bit of a discomfort or kind of itchiness on my arm. And I think that's a combination of obviously wearing this strap, the sensor being pressed against your arm, and obviously your body will sweat during the night and it might cause a bit of irritation. So all I do is each day I kind of swap the arm. So I put it on this arm, and tomorrow I'll swap it over onto that arm. So that's not really a problem for me. It works really well. So the strap is very, very easy to use. Obviously it's very, very form-fitting and it works really well. And I love the fact that I can just crack on with exercise, not have to take it off and not have to worry about it. It's also water resistant as well, but I wouldn't wear this necessarily in the shower, because what you find is that this particular material, because it is like a cloth material, it soaks up water. So if you came out of the shower or you went in a swimming pool, you'll find this will be soaking wet. They do a specific strap for water sports, which I'll probably recommend you buy if you are doing water sports. But other than that, I just take it off before I have a shower and then put it back on again. So that's not been a problem. Software. Now, if you're aware of using something like the Oura Ring, you'll find that when you wake up in the morning, you obviously check your Oura Ring software and it gives you a readiness score, what they refer to as a readiness score, and that's pretty much instant because the Oura Ring's been monitoring your activity all night. Well, this works in a similar way. However, there is a downside to this. One of the problems with the Whoop strap is that you have to have your software, so the Bluetooth, connected all night. If you want consistent readings, if you want the system to consistently read throughout the night, and so as soon as you get onto the application, it has your readings ready, you'd have to have your Bluetooth open all night. I've also found that if you don't just have, if you have Bluetooth activated, but you don't have your internet connected as well, that also causes a problem. So what I have found with this is when you start it up, if you don't have any internet connected and if you've not had Bluetooth on all night, you will find it takes around about 15 to 20 minutes for this to download your data from your phone. So that could be a bit of a problem if you're someone that trains first thing in the morning. You need to know what you're set up for the day. So the Oura Ring obviously gives you an instant reading and it can have it in airplane mode, whereas this you can't. Now what does happen is it says it's catching up and it will basically load your data, I said over this sort of 15-minute period, and then eventually it will have all of the data it's captured from downloading it off the actual Whoop strap, and then it'll be on the phone, and then you're ready to process that reading. And again, it will process it and give you that information. So there's a few more stages involved with the Whoop strap in order to get the data that you want compared to the Oura Ring. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go into the application now. So as we go into the application, what's really nice, I mean today at the moment, you can see on my screen, it's 20 past 2 in the afternoon, and this is the overview screen. So this is quite a nice screen, giving you a bit of information that you can go by, and I really like how this screen's displayed. So what you've got is on the overview screen, you've got your day strain. So the day strain is basically a bit of information showing you how much you have strained your body today. Now they have day strain and you've also got activity strain, but the strain score itself is based on the same information. So basically you've got, I've just written this down actually, so the strain is based from anything under 10 is classed as kind of like a very light strain, 10 to 14 is classed as a moderate strain, and 14 to 18 is classed as an intense strain. So if you are doing some activity that's very, very high intense, you're going to find that you're kind of obviously going into the higher levels of strain, whereas if you're just going for a walk or a basic run, you're going to find that you're kind of on a more low intensity strain. So that's something to bear in mind when you're looking at that, and it's quite a nice way of getting an idea of whether you're pushing yourself hard enough or not. And that's been great for me because I found that actually where I thought I'm actually pushing myself, I actually haven't been pushing myself as hard as I thought I was. So the actual program on this, and I'll show you that in a moment, can give you a lot of information on showing you what your kind of current training schedule is like, how you're currently pushing yourself as you are training, rather than waiting for after to see how your training went at the time. So that is the day strain. And the strain, I said, applies to kind of, you know, your activities and your strain your body throughout the day. So I imagine if you were someone like who did a very heavy lifting job, you worked in a factory or something, your day strain would be higher than someone that sits, you know, at a desk. So the thing to keep in mind is that the Whoop strap looks at strain, it looks at recovery, and it looks at sleep. So it kind of looks at those three different areas. So what you can see on here is that my day strain currently is 5.3. My calories burnt so far is 1,079. My HRV for today is 35, and I've noticed that my HRV is significantly lower on the Whoop strap than it was on the Oura Ring. So again, that's down to how well this measures it, and you know, who knows which one's more accurate. And it says 71% recovery, so my recovery is really good. It's all in the green, and you can see that by looking at that green loop in the middle, shows that I recovered really well, and that's based on my sleep, my resting heart rate, and my HRV. That's what the recovery is based on. And you can see in the middle that I've got my kind of sleep that's been measured, and it says 8 hours and 57 minutes, and I went to bed at 10:20 last night and I woke up at 7:46. And if I click on that or select it, you can see it gives me more information about my sleep. It gives me a bit of data, and then I can go through all the stages, so I can see that you know, I did 2 hours of deep sleep. It measures that in red when I highlight it, REM sleep, light sleep, awake, etc. So it's nicely and easy to understand. It tells you your time in bed, your disturbances, and if I actually select disturbances, you'll see it highlights that on the graph of where those disturbances took place. So if I woke up in the morning or went to the loo or something else, or something woke me up, and it's got my respiratory rate and my efficiency, so it gives you a lot of information. If I go back by clicking the top button, you can see that's just the general overview. Now at the bottom of the screen, you can see that it shows you your battery percent, which is always active, and you can also see the current time, and it gives you a bit of information. So if your battery's running low, it's not connected, all that information is shown on there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you, if I go onto profile, This then gives you kind of a bit of information about yourself. So it tells you the last 30 days, gives you a bunch of information. So I've done 15 plus activities, an average of 8.1 day strain. I've done some cycling, I've done some functional fitness. Now I've done a lot less exercise recently because I've actually damaged my bicep. So my bicep's going under some recovery at the moment. So this is going to be lower than I normally would have, which I expect. But you know, the information, as I said, it's gathered from the training that I've done. So I've been doing a bit more kind of cardio activity. So it says my average HRV is 36. My average beats per minute is 55. Hours of sleep, 8 hours 11 minutes. Sleep needed, it recommends I need 7 hours 44 minutes of sleep. So it gives you a lot of really useful information. And if I click back on overview, what can also happen is if you for any reason want to look at all your heart rate data, if you just tip your phone to portrait mode, or widescreen mode rather than from portrait, it will actually read the Whoop strap and give you all the data for today so far. So give you all your heart rate data, which I think is really awesome. This kind of active dynamic screen of showing you all that information. And obviously that's for today, but I can go back and see previous days as well. But that's just a really nice way of showing you that information and the data that it's kind of gathered. So if I put it back to kind of portrait mode, and rather than selecting today, if I go back to yesterday, which is the 20th, and you can see that I did some cycling, some functional fitness, and they're all about after 5 o'clock. So now, if I tip this over to the kind of widescreen format, you can see that at those time periods, my heart rate went up, so kind of peaked at about 150 odd, where my cycling and my functional fitness took place, and then it went back down again. So I did take you see here, this is where I took my strap off after my session, where I actually went and had a shower, took my strap off and then put it back on again at 10 o'clock. So it's really accurate in the sense of the data that it's getting, and I like the way that it's displayed. So that's the overview screen. Like I said, you can change the date and you can go through, and these are color coordinated as well. So it shows you if you're red, obviously you had a bit of a bad day, yellow is not so bad, and green's really good. So that's all color coordinated. I'm going to go back to today, it's the 21st. So you've got obviously that information at the top of the screen, and it's very useful. It's showing you the overview screen. What actually happens is when and I'll put this at the end of the video, I recorded it separately, but I'll show you what happens when you wake up first thing in the morning. And this also has a journal, so that when you are actually recording your sleep in the morning, it can ask you questions according to your journal. For example, mine says, did I do any stretching? Did I have coffee? Did I use infrared sauna? So a bunch of things that I do to keep track of as a bit of a journal, which I really like. I think that's really helpful, so you can see what things help you with your recovery. Another question I've got on there is, do I take magnesium? So I like taking magnesium at night, and that will help me just keep track of all these things. So I think that's also very useful. So if I click on strain, you can see that my day strain at the moment is 5.3. I haven't really done a lot today, been sitting at a desk most of today, but I could potentially add an activity. Now, how you add an activity is done in 2 different ways. If I go back to overview, you can see there's a little picture of a person on here. If you click or touch that little person, it says, right, what start time of your activity, the end time, and this is really great because you've got cycling, you've got functional fitness, which wasn't on the Oura ring, you've got sleep, nap. It does record some of these things automatically. So if you started running, it would know that you were running and it would log it as a run. But obviously functional fitness, it's a little bit of a weird thing, so you could be using kettlebells or whatever, so you have to log that manually. But if it does know what you're doing, it will log it. So if you lie down for another 10-20 minute nap, it will record it as nap on your thing, so it will come up automatically, which is really good. So you've got all these different things: American football, basketball, commuting, cross-country skiing, dance, fencing, gaming. There's all sorts of stuff on here. Now I actually play the drums, okay? So what I have found is if I use this or wear it while I'm playing the drums, well, it adds it as an activity. So what I do is I delete it, because I don't want drumming as being a fitness activity as such. So it sometimes gets a bit confused, but you can just delete an activity anyway if it automatically detects it. So you simply select your start time, you select your end time, and you'll hit save, and that will then add that activity. So it's a very straightforward. So that's how you can manually add an activity. or it can auto detect an activity if it picks it up. The other thing that I love on this is this little option here. So on this little left hand menu, there's an option called Strain Coach. Now this shows you things that you unlock over time. So I've got monthly personal, I think it's personal achievement, is locked because I haven't had this for over a month yet. So that will become unlocked after a month. But I have got the sleep coach, I have got the weekly kind of update, and I have got the strain coach. Now the strain coach is great so that when you're about to start an activity, so say for example you're about to start a bit of training or functional fitness, I can select strain coach, and what this will then do, it starts calibrating with your Whoop strap and starts measuring straight away your heart rate. And then what will happen is it will start recording. If I hit start activity, it will start recording, and then it will show me if I am heading into different levels of strain. So for example, light strain, like I said before, or moderate strain, or intense strain. It shows you where you are within your piece of training, and that's really good because it can help you to push yourself. So if you think that you're pushing yourself hard enough, but you look at this and look down at it and go, well actually I'm not really, my heart rate isn't that high, I can push myself a little bit harder. So I think it's a little bit like a personal coach, and it can help push you when you are potentially, you're not pushing yourself hard enough, and therefore you can get the most out of your training. So I found that incredibly helpful and very, very useful, and this is how I log all my training when I start doing my own stuff at home. So I'm just going to close that for the time being. And if I go back in there, you can see that there's a strain coach, there's a sleep coach. If I click on that, this will then tell me all the times, it kind of information it gives me about my sleep. So it recommends, when I should go to bed, how much sleep I need, my wake up time. Okay, so it gives you information like that. If I go into here and I go into this weekly performance assessment, that's what it stands for. So it takes a little while to load up, but this is going to give me a bit of information. So it says I'm actually in a conserving state, which is right because I haven't been pushing myself too hard because of my bicep issue. But it's given me some information. It shows me, the categories I'm falling into in regards to my day strain. So at the minute, you can see most of the time I've been in that yellow state where it's fairly moderate. Whereas, I haven't really been pushing myself super hard. But you can see that it gives you information about your day strain, your sleep status. Mine's fairly optimal at the moment, and day strain compared to other men in that category, I have to be 41, so 35 to 50. It says that I'm 36% lower. I've maybe not been pushing myself as hard as I normally do, so I need to work on that, and that's something I need to be aware of. But I actually like that. I like the fact it does a comparison between you and other people, so that's really, really useful. Now if I go back to just the standard screen, if I go back to the overview screen, and then all I'm going to do is I can actually swipe up. So if I swipe up, it's going to give me more overview information. So it shows me kind of my intensity of my day strain compared to my recovery, and gives me some useful information. I don't really use that screen, to be honest. I might do later on in time when I start using this more often, but I don't find that very useful at the moment. Then obviously we've got strain, which I showed you earlier on. At the moment I'm not done anything today, so it's quite low. If I scroll to the right again, we've got recovery. Now my recovery is really, really good today. Had decent sleep, and that's based on your resting heart rate, your HRV, and your sleep data. And then if I move again to the right, it then gives you all that sleep information. So again, you've got all the information exactly where you want it. It's very, very easy to see, and you can kind of scroll through this and it gives you even more information about your sleep and gives you more data. So overall, I am super impressed with this. I'm very, very happy with the battery life. I'm very, very happy with the software and the performance, and I'm very, very happy with the overall look and feel of this. And I said, it's actually giving me exactly what I needed. I found with the Oura Ring, it was a great tech device. I love the fact that it just sat on your finger and measured yourself all the time. But for me, it was lacking in the kind of health and well-being department in terms of my exercise. And being a big exercise enthusiast, that's a big part of my life. So the Oura Ring is more tailored towards recovery and that side of things and sleep, whereas this is recovery, sleep and activity, and it adds all those things together to help kind of coach you and give you very, very informative information that's going to help you to perform better. So for me, overall, it's a better overall package in what it's giving me and the data and the information it's giving me, and I think it's going to help me push myself and help me to kind of push myself further in my training and increase my cardiovascular activity. So if you're after kind of like a more of a coach element to it and you want to see that kind of information, this is a great device to go for. Now obviously the downside to this is that this is a subscription based service, but I think for the price it's worth it because of the amount of information you're getting and the versatility of using a product like this. Especially if you're into like swimming, you could change this up for a waterproof strap, or if you're into climbing or whatever, you don't have to worry about this getting damaged. It seems to be pretty hardy, and I think for me personally, it's kind of crossing that gap between the Oura Ring and, you know, overall just general fitness and having those kind of usefulness of the Oura Ring, but also other elements as well. So I hope you found this useful. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. As I said, I'm going to use this for, you know, the next few months, and I may add some more comments to the end of this video, so have a look in the description. If I have a problem with this, obviously I'll add that description as well. But overall, guys, I think this is really, really good. I really like it, and I strongly recommend it if it's the sort of thing you're looking for. If you're more interested in just purely sleep and recovery, then maybe look at something like the Oura Ring. But again, you know, I had battery problems with my ring, and I've had 2 rings, and I've seen other people have had battery problems as well. So this could be a nice way of kind of bridging that gap. And I also like the fact that these are, you can buy multiple charging units, these battery units, so you can charge 1 or 2 up at a time and have them ready to go, which is again another advantage, which is really great. So catch you on the next video. Got any questions? I'll speak to you soon.